Right. All right, guys. I'm back. This is Mark Forbes, and today in this video we are going to do a skin faded side part. David here has great hair, nice blonde hair, which is always a little bit easier to fade out. The back of his neck here is a little rough with a little bit of acne, so I'm going to make sure to be real mellow around his neckline, not pushing too hard or anything like that. We don't want any of his pimples to pop or anything like that. So yeah, guys, let's just jump right into it. Skin fades are my favorite haircut to do and look at. They're just great haircuts. Beautiful shit right here. So to start, I'm gonna wet down David's hair a little bit. I'm gonna section off the crown. We're doing the slick back. So we're gonna bring it more like a V section and we're gonna slice it right across. Get that solid line. What I do is I just take the comb with my thumb to finger, just meet back there. Just like that. And we're going to clip it out of our way. Just like that. All right, so to begin the skin fade, after we section off the top, I'm gonna go ahead and put in that zero line. So to do this, I'm gonna take my liners. For this, I'm using the Wall Cordless Detailers. Great tool, just picked it up a couple days ago, and I am in love with it. It's super soft, and it hits super hard, fresh out of the box. Didn't have to gap at all to get these perfectly crispy lines. So David here, we're gonna do like a medium-low fade, just over the ear, lower in the back, allowing some extra weight through the occipital because he does have a problem region back there. It's where his calic lies, so we want to leave a little bit more hair to weigh down that calic. Just like that, following around, meeting in the back. I want to make sure that these beginning lines are as even as possible. When they're uneven, that's how you leave dark spots in your fade, and the fades may look different throughout. We're gonna remove all of this bulk here. Come up with it being real gentle around his acne. Once again, we don't want to scratch open any of the whiteheads or anything like that. Boom. We're just going to do that around the whole head. Just like that. You can see his scalp is real white, so it's going to add this really nice contrast throughout the fade. When you're doing fades, you're really just working with contrast. You are removing hair to reveal the scalp. Removing any lines that you see and the bulk that you find necessary. Alright, so after that, we're going to move into the shaver using the Wall Finale with the 5-star super close on top. And when I'm doing this, I work down to begin. So I'm going to go down and then I'm going to come back up with it afterwards. By working down, it's softer. It's going to leave the hair a little bit longer than working up and against the grain. So I'm basically fading before I leave a line in there, working down. Now flip that guy over and just run it up and out into there. So like we talked about in the last video, in every step, in every haircut, you need to flick. The flick is so crucial. You see me leaving the scalp and moving up still. It's allowing me to not leave any line. Same thing on this side, just working down before I start coming up with it. Always use the single foil side when I'm going down and the double foil side when I'm working up. Remember guys, I'm still flicking at the top of this section. Right as I reach that line, I'm flicking up and out. That way we don't leave another line that I'm gonna have to fade out. Right, looks like we got through the more acne dent zone without bursting any of them, which is awesome. All right, now I am taking my Wall 5-star cordless senior. I'm putting on that plastic 2 guard. Wall plastic 2 cordless seniors. And just like on the last haircut, I'm gonna be going up and out. So pay attention. Up and out. Up and out. Up and out. Up and out. See that? Always brushing the hair back down. Just like that. Remember, repeat that step over on the other side. Remember, always coming up and out. I find it easier to go up and out when I'm working a little slower. So I'll start being slow, more controlled before I kind of start getting in there. Yeah, we're just going to connect it to the back. Removing all of that bulk. Notice my first guide is a little different right here at the bottom, so I'm just making sure that that's even in the transition right here. Perfect. Now I'm gonna come through and just go over that transition zone from the shaver to the T-liner just to make sure it's all cut. Just like that. Still flicking real hard as I approach that 0 line. All right. Now we are going to begin the fading process. So I'm taking a Wool 1919 edition. Great clipper, love it. And I'm gonna be coming up about that far up, about a pinky's width, and I'm setting that first guide in. So right now we're open. Wool 1919 open. And just setting our next guide in. We're gonna do this all the way around the head. All right. Now we fade out that first line, guys. So I'm moving back with my Wall cordless 5-star seniors. This blade is just a little bit closer than the blade on the 1919, so I use it for most of the fade work between 1 and skin. I'm gonna start with the corners, and I'm only using the corner of that senior, and I'm still flicking out once I reach that next half line. Closing it down to halfway, and using that corner to really buff out that line. Now we're closed all the way, still only with the corner of that blade, working back up. So I work open to close, close to open. So I'm open, working down to that line, and then I open it back up to detail through the haircut. Still using that corner of the blade. I cannot stress this enough. There are two things that really kept my career at a standstill very early on, and that's how I held the clipper, and in two different ways. Whether it was using the corner, I never used enough of the corner, using too much of the blade, which allowed me to leave lines in that I didn't think were there until the client stood up. And also, keeping the blade flat. We talked about this in the last video, and I'm talking flat. So you see that? Working up and through the hair, not raking and dragging. Doing this, you're missing hair, you're leaving dark spots, but with this, you're fading nice and smooth every time. Even when you're using the corner, like the blade is flat, the clipper is flat, but I'm on its edge using the corner. And that is the one thing that really amplified my career and allowed me to take my haircuts to the next level. It was really developing that barber eye to begin with so I can see the mistakes, and then learning how to hold the clipper to compensate. Still using corner of that clipper, rocking up and out into there. Right now we're open, we're going down to half. Now we are just above closed. Now all the way closed, still using that corner. Now we're opening her up just a touch, open her up about halfway, and open her up all the way, and boom. You can really start to see that first line be completely gone. You don't see it at all, at least I don't. Looking in that camera frame, I don't see it either. So now we're gonna move on to the other side, and it's the same steps. Once again, like I mentioned in that other video, fading and tapering, it's the same steps on repeat. You have to make slight adjustments per client because every head's different, but it's all the same thing over and over again. In each step, I'm doing the same things over and over again until that line is gone and that fade is buttery. Beautiful buttery fades, that's what we do. Just like that. All right, guys, so I'm moving back into that Wall 1919, except this time I'm putting on the plastic one guard. Always spray anything down before you use it. Make sure it's clean. And that lever is closed, open to close. And we're setting that next guide. So same thing, we're gonna go that next pinky's width up. Still flicking out. So we're still working with that one guard. Just connecting that line. Like I was saying before, when you work with that edge of the clipper, of the blade, and you flick out, the line you leave is extremely soft. And that makes it so much easier to blend out when it's time. So much easier. All right, so after we set that next guide, guys, going in with the half guard on the Wall cordless seniors again. New guard, so I'm spraying her down just to make sure she's nice and clean. Still brushing the hair down and using the corners of the blade the whole time. Right in here. Right now, half guard's open. We're coming just about to that next guide with the corner and still flicking out as we reach it. And we're closing her just before halfway. Doing the same thing, just staying a little bit lower. We close her all the way and really just use the corner of that clipper. Fade up into her. Now I open that clipper up a little more. Open that clipper up just a touch more and work back up into that. Now we're all the way open and really just flicking out at that line, making sure it's all nice and buffed. Just like that. You can see we're halfway done with the next step. Move on to the other side, using the corner. Still with the open to close method. Right now we are half open, working right between that. And we're closed all the way, staying right at that half line. Like that, we'll move into the back here. Still using the corner of the blade. Work it up and through the hair. Boom. All right. See a little bit of shadow here, just where his back of his head folds a little bit. So I've got my clipper with no guard open, using the real edge of that blade to just create a little separation here. You'd be surprised how high you can take the edge of a blade. Boom. All right, so up to this point, guys, we have done the 0 line, we've skinned it out, we've faded into the plastic 1 closed, and now we're left with this band of plastic 2. So I'm gonna pull that plastic 2 back up just to make sure it's all even in that upper zone before I pull out the metal 2 guard on my Supras. And that just really cleans it up. Makes it a little bit easier to blend into. And it's metal too, and it blends right into this plastic too, like no other. All right, so I'm putting on that metal 2 guard on the Andes Supras, which is a metal clipper. That means it has no lever. And you can put guards on it, or you can just use the metal guards. This whole thing comes off and goes back on just like that. It's a 2, so it's gonna blend right into that plastic 2 while cleaning up what the plastic 2 could have missed. And I'm still gonna be using that blade flat up and out, using only half the blade at a time. So still coming up and out through that plastic 2. If you guys don't have the metal 2 guard, you can use the plastic 1.5 open to close, the same steps that we've been doing up until this point, just to make it a little bit closer and easier to blend into that 2. So when you pull out the 1 and start working open to close, but you can see even this 2, just cleaning it up, really makes that line almost disappear on its own. I let my clippers do the work for me, guys, and they're just small techniques that you can learn and master that really help. That really help you let the clipper do all the work. That's what the clipper's made for. We're made to hold clippers. Clippers are made to cut hair. All right, so we've done that metal 2. You've used the plastic 1.5 instead if you didn't have the metal 2. I'm putting that plastic 1 guard back on, always spraying down anything that has been sitting around for too long. Still brushing down the hair while we fade up and down into her. Boom, but you can see, like, you barely even see that line right now. Some people might even be like, oh crap, I'm already done. But it's not. So, same steps again, guys. Open to closed. I'm using the corner of the blade to really work through and add the separation necessary. By using the corner, not only are we creating or leaving less of a line and softer of that line, but you're also adding separation, like I mentioned before, which allows for that really blurry fade that you see all over Instagram. Just like that. And you can see, because I used that metal too, I didn't have to do almost anything with that plastic one. Like, it did all of the work itself. All of it. Same thing on this side, guys. Open to close. Using the corner of that blade. So we're open right now. Closing it just before half. Flicking up and out. Closing it almost all the way. Before we go in with that full close right now. Really just use that corner to really pick at that. It's like erasing a line with a pencil. Except you get to choose how strong the eraser is. When the clipper is open, you're taking out less hair. When it's closed, you're taking out as much as you possibly can. Perfect. Look at that, guys. So up to this point, we have done 99% of the fade. All we're left with is the parietal ridge and the weight between it and its crown. Now we're going to work through the top, the crown. We're going to be working with vertical and diagonal sections. I am using, right now I have my HH 6.5 or HHV 6.5s getting sharpened. So right now I'm working with the HHV 4.5s. They're the loaner shears from Hanzo. Real tiny, but I love them. I might pick them up next. So I removed the clips from David's hair, sprayed down a little bit. And I'm gonna start with that mohawk section. Just brush all the hair forward. Pick the comb parts you like, brush it all to the side. That's sloppy, hang on, let me make that cleaner. There it is, just like that. You're gonna go through. We're just gonna work straight across, guys. David's hair, we're gonna take off about a 1/2 inch. It's a nice little trim. Cut David's hair about a month ago, so that would be about a 1/2 inch worth of growth. Just bringing that into the front there. I like to take one more section each direction vertically. So now I'm connecting this next section to that middle section. Pulling the middle hair to the right side and the right side towards the center, meeting in the middle there. Oh, nope, wrong way. I'm gonna spin them around and grab one more section, or one section this way. Just like that. Pick it up and follow that guide. Just like that. All right. So we're gonna come in horizontally. David's hair is absorbing the water pretty quickly, so we're just gonna add another little spritz. It's one of those auto sprayer bottles. Super convenient. All right, now we're just gonna work our way back horizontally. Pick that front section up, make sure it's all even. Should be at this point. We're gonna pull that back. And this is gonna be our traveling guide. You can see, guys, my back is straight, my neck is straight, my wrists are straight. Good body positioning means I get to cut hair for as long as possible without being in pain. And also add for more precise work and lines when you're cutting with shears. All right, working on to the right side now. Same steps, guys, we're just repeating what we did over there, over here. Just like that. All right. I'm gonna make sure that the top connects to the crown nice and smoothly. So I'm gonna section it about a quarter of the way through the top and pull all this hair down. Actually gonna pull it all the way it grows. So you can see how it's laying, right? So we've followed that guide all the way through here. So we're gonna pull a section, and this is where our guide's gonna be. We're gonna connect this all the way around in 4 to 6 sections. So we're gonna pull that one down, part the rest of it that way, and come in. Just like that. Same steps again, part it, use that guide to connect. Same thing again. Same thing on the next side. Just like that. Making sure it all connects. Just like that. All right, so I'm going to style the hair a little bit and get it into the shape I want it to be for the finished result. I'm really just gonna blow it all back a little bit and dust off my client with the blow dryer in the process. David does a slick back, so that's what we're doing. And slick all his hair back before we start cutting up parietal ridge. Same on the other side. All right. So first step is going to be some clipper over comb work. And when I'm doing my clipper over comb, I always pull out that metal guard clipper again, and I use a 1 guard. This is basically like a clipper, a lever clipper open, maybe with a half guard and open. But this just allows me to work in a way that I feel comfortable. Everybody has their preference. Once again, when you're clipper over combing, you're pulling out at that 45 to taper, and you're coming out at that 90 to blend. So on his head, we're going to start with coming up a little higher for that 45, then we're going to stay low with that 90. Right at that 90 to blend that in. Just like that, guys. It's getting pretty close to being done. So once again, coming up in that upper region at that 45. Before we come down for the lower region at the 90. Just like that. I like to come up with the clipper when I'm working at that 90, and then horizontal when I'm working at that 45. Guys, now we are going to connect both sides together through the back here. Still coming out at that 45 to begin. Before we come in off that 90 to taper. 45, 45, 45, 45, 45. And now we're coming in at that 90. Still coming in with that 90. Still in at that 90 degrees. Just getting that blend all perfect. Using my barber's eye to really get out any of these dark spots that I see up in the upper parietal. Still working at that 90 degrees though. Pretty solid. It's got some weird growth patterns here. So we're just trying to make sure that they all blend the same. So I'm working with that corner against the clipper comb, almost as if they were like thinning shears, and just adding some separation into these weird growth zones. All right. Couple finishing touches, guys. I'm pulling out my HH14Ts, add a little texture to the parietal, and help pull out any of those little dark spots caused by his growth patterns. So once again, always hold your clipper or your comb like this. Allows you to toggle between cutting and brushing very easily. And then when you're working with the shear, making sure only to move your thumb, having that still blade. So here we go. And we're gonna come up, always rotating that comb up and through. You wanna bring that hair up. right, guys, and that's how you do the skin fade. Stick around later in the next section. You're gonna really get a good glimpse on how to style this haircut using blow dryers and some of that first-hand product. Real quick, I do see a little bit more of that dark spot where his growth pattern changes. Boom. All right, and that's that, guys. Stick around, the next section you'll see how we style this haircut. The haircut that's following this one is gonna be that shear cut. Stick around, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a lot of fun, something different. Not a lot of barbers are comfortable with the shears, especially through the sides. So yeah, guys, stick around. Catch the next video.